How's everyone doing? Hopefully well. Let me get us a little music on, and then we'll get to something a little bit. Oh, look at that echo. That's what you all wanted. Absolutely fantastic. How are you doing, Apollo? How are you doing? Now, I don't know if you guys have been dealing with the new Twitch app. I've heard a lot of people dislike it. But I have to tell you, it can't be worse than the old Twitch app. Have you ever tried to watch a video on the old Twitch app and tried to sync with the scroll bar? If you have, you'll know that you can't. It's just not possible. So I'm sorry if you're having problems with the new Twitch app. Sorry, I started this one off a little spicy, didn't I? I was gonna say, it surely can't be worse. Like, stop your complaining. That app is terrible. It really is. Like, you also can't do it on a computer. Like, I don't know what it is, but seeking on a video, like, if I just know on my iPad, because usually I stream on Saturday mornings and I miss any of the pro games that I like to watch. And so I go back and watch those whenever I get a chance. So, you know, like Age of Empires 4 and Dota 2 are some of the ones that I watch the pro games, and on Saturdays I don't get to see them. And so I tried to go back and like seek through it. You can't do it. You have to like step 10 seconds at a time. Oh my goodness. It's the worst thing. All right. All right. So I had, we'll give it a little bit of time. I have at least 2 videos that I want to make. I have a third that I've debated with myself about whether we'll make it today or if we'll make it at all. Yeah. So there'll be a day of Dota 2, which will be like a 12-hour video. And if you try to seek with the scroll bar, it will like, you'll move your finger. Let me draw it. Let me draw it because that will be easier. I wasn't prepared for this. I was working on finishing this up 1 second, and then I'm drawing it. Okay. So here's the scroll bar. Let's say this is the scroll bar down here. And let's see. We're going to do something like this. And you're right here. Now let's say the next tournament starts like right here. And you just want to pick this up and you want to scrub through the timeline. You know, you want to start seeing where they start drafting for the next one. And maybe you want to get halfway through the draft. That would be great. So you put your finger on this and you start dragging this way. You haven't moved. Your finger is still right here. This is the location of your finger. And the little ball jumps over here. It's just over there. Your finger's still here. You can see the ball because it's not under your finger anymore. You're like, wait a second. I see my finger and I see the ball now. It's just like, I don't know what it's doing. And so then you move your finger here to try to compensate. Like, you just move it a little bit over here. And then all of a sudden, the ball's over here. And you're like, I just don't even know how we're supposed to do this. Anyways, yeah, YouTube by far has the better video viewing experience. Twitch has definitely a better live one for sure. There's something wrong with this. It kind of jerks. See how that jerks at the very end? I know that there's people that have solved that. I need to solve it, is all I'm saying. Okay, let me finish this really quickly. All right. How are you doing there on YouTube today? It's good to see you all. You guys need to subscribe a little bit more. Twitch is kicking your butts. You know, they're at 825 followers. They're on YouTube. You're only at like 316. How's the audio level? Actually, maybe I need to turn it down my headphones a little. There we go. Well, so I have a move. I have a move one. That is the transition. But so when I do it, when I go to like the news, it doesn't do it because like I don't cut the sides down of the video. But when I go to this one, I cut the video, the sides of the footage of the video down. Like, see my hand will disappear. Magic. Because I make it a square so that you guys can see more of the screen. I figure that's what you guys are here for. And so it like recenters the video. Like if you'll notice, I'll be off center and then I don't know. Maybe I could do like a fade transition on top of that where it fades just for that one. I'm not sure. I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with it. All right. All right. So what are we doing today? I figure we're going to talk through one thing that I want to code. We might get to demoing some of the code, like proof of concepting some of the code. All this DARPA news. What DARPA news? What DARPA news? Did I miss something? Let's see. Oh, yes. They are. I mean, that's kind of been a thing. Like, it's been a thing coming for a while. Let's see. So if we go to videos, I have these two, Fly.in versus the Null Cloud, and the return of investment on generative AI. So we can do those two today. I have this one down here, the most toxic community. I was really upset yesterday. Like, I'm not sure I'm going to make the video, though. I'm not sure. There is a certain group that I believe is the most toxic community in software engineering. And the reason I got upset was there was a very popular YouTuber and Twitch streamer who was joining the community, and it made me upset. Okay, and then the other thing that, so today, what we also need to do is, what Russell named it, Arboil. Arboil is a ring buffer of logs. So what we want to try to do, what the goal of this is in the null database, we have a file of logs. And what we would like to do is not lock. Is to not lock this. Robe list. That's actually a pretty good one too. Arbo list. I don't know how you would pronounce that. I'm now thinking. Anyways, it's a ring buffer of logs. Now it's not just a ring buffer of logs. Like, it's a ring buffer that dictates where you get to write in the log, and that will basically ensure that we don't corrupt this log with multiple threads writing without locking. So the idea is that, like, when somebody comes to write into the log, they go and they ask this entity here, the arbol. And arbol comes back and says, hey, when they do this, they say, my thing is X bytes. And arbol says, here, start and end. These are your bytes that you can write to. And then it just opens the file without locking it and dumps those bytes in at those locations. And we should be able to do this with a ring buffer and atomics, and not have any locks and be multi-threaded. I say should, like, in theory, this all works in my head. We're gonna have to work through some of the particulars. Right. Future highway. Because, so, on Linux, there is no guarantee. You can write, and I actually proved this in my very first video. You can write to this file by multiple threads. And, like, this thread will write the first byte, this thread will write the second byte, this thread will write the third byte, this thread will write the fourth byte. There is no guarantee that they don't just step on everybody. Atomics and locks are words you see but have no clue what they are yet. Okay, so maybe before we do Arboil, we do an atomics and lock video. I mean, we're going to start working on Arboil today, but we'll also add cards for here. Atomics and locks. So atomics, and this is why I think that everybody needs to learn... everybody needs to learn assembly. Because without assembly, there's no way to understand atomics. You can understand atomics without understanding assembly. That's a bad take. Let me take this and put this actually in a streaming. Let's actually save this. Let's see. Every stream that I do, if you find a stream and know the date, any of the drawings can be looked up here in this repo. So I just leave it with the date of the stream. So any notes we take during the stream that aren't like part of, a video or whatnot are just in here. We'll probably need to like archive these so they're not just all in one folder, but right now they're all just in one folder. Okay. Oh my goodness. We just got a follow, but I haven't updated my thing. Let's Sayo 23. Thank you for the follow. Let me cone of silence you all. Let me cone of silence you all so I don't leak my email again. Thanks for the follow. 1 second. I want to look up the logs. I just got this all working on fly.io, and I didn't update the thing that should have been updated. Let's look at what? No. I signed in with wrong user. Okay. Let's check this out. So we have the Twitch alerts here. We're gonna check the logs to see if the live logs. So we got this all working in fly.io, and this is something that we're gonna actually go over. We should see your follow here. Look at this. Now this should show up on screen. We're gonna try to check that. In the darkest hour, Sayo23, a lone warrior, faced the Null Party. Through trials and battles, they found common purpose and united to vanquish a greater evil together. There you go. Everybody gets their own story. At least this is working because it puts it in a database for us, and so that's fantastic. I have a home lab that this normally runs on, but the home lab is getting moved right now. So yeah, anyways. All right, sorry. Just noticed that. Let's talk about. Let's just really quickly talk about what an atomic is. The reason that this can happen, like what we were talking about here, is because we have different threads trying to write, and they'll write in different orders. But what if we could have this thread write all of its stuff in one operation, one cycle of the CPU? Well, then it would be safe, right? Because if this would get all of its information onto disk at the exact same tick of the cycle of the CPU, there would be no threading contention. And this is effectively, again, we're going to do a series on machine level code, because understanding how CPUs work is really important to this. But basically an atomic, let's just type this out. An atomic is something that can be updated in one cycle, which means that effectively it is safe to use in multiple threads. So, but you have to actually understand why this is. You need to understand the CPU architecture and how CPUs handle this. How do CPUs deal with this? And that's what we'll make a video on. I'll actually put some charts together. We'll actually make an atomics video on why this actually is true. So you just don't have to take my word for it. Now, I actually call atomics locking light because they're kind of locking light. They're much better than locking, but we'll use atomics. We actually already use atomics. Yeah, let's, I can show you. Maybe I can't show you. Oh, yeah. We use an atomic here. So basically we could we could put a lock and lock this resource, update it, read it, whatever we want to do. Or we could do what we're doing right now, which is just using an atomic 64. Now, what is a lock versus this atomic? Well, a lock is basically just that. A lock is something that can be locked. So if you notice here, we have a main file lock. So right here, we have these two main log file. So this one right here, this main log file lock here, is the lock that we do right now, that we leverage to ensure that multiple threads. So if this thread obtains the lock first, these two can't obtain it. And so they have to wait to obtain this lock to actually write. That's the idea behind a lock, is that basically when one thread obtains the lock, all the other threads have to wait for this. Now this causes problems because you could have two locks, and then if you're waiting on the one lock and the other one's waiting on the one lock, it's called a deadlock. So, like really quickly, if this thread obtains lock A and then it needs to obtain lock B, but this thread obtained lock B and is now waiting on lock A, your application has become deadlocked. So this one has reached this point in execution and this one has reached this point in execution, and they can't progress further because this one's waiting on B, this one's this is a deadlock scenario. There's other issues that can come up with locks, so you have to be really careful when leveraging locks to not shoot yourself in the foot with them. Where you're at, your application just stops executing. Yeah, so that's fun. I'm explaining atomics and locks very light because I wasn't prepared for it. I was just asked about it. I will make a video for it. We already put a video here, down here. Look at this, atomics and locks. We already moved that up. Look at that. Beautiful. We'll make an atomics and locks video to go into it more detail for people that are newer. Absolutely no problem. I'm just trying to explain it in the event of this. So when we say arbol is something this community has come up with as something we want to try. And this is a ring buffer of logs. And so basically what we're trying to do is right now, as you can see, the null cloud actually obtains locks to write to this main log file. Now it's a read-write lock. What is a read-write lock? Well, it's a special type of lock that says 100 threads. These are the white ones are all readers. 100 threads can lock the file to read it. But when a writer comes to lock the file, this writer has to wait for all of these to purge to be done reading the file. And then it's exclusive, which means any readers that come after it have to wait for it to be done. It's an exclusive lock. The reads are not exclusive. And this says, hey, we're not going to corrupt the file if a billion things read it. We're only going to corrupt the file if 2 things write at the same time. And so that's what this lock is. It's a specialized type of lock. If you use just the regular mutex, it's purely exclusive. Whatever you're doing, if you're reading, if you're writing, it's purely exclusive. That doesn't work for us. Obviously, we don't need purely exclusive. But they're just different styles of lock. Okay, I don't know that I'll do the most toxic community. I actually think that there is a particular group of people that are the most toxic. And yesterday, a very popular YouTuber and Twitch streamer joined that community. And I think it's a very dangerous community to join. I think that it only hurts the entire computer science industry. I don't know that I'll actually make the video. We'll do these two. I will probably make the video. I gotta think about it. I have a whole bunch of notes. Oh, that shows the notes too. Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, don't highlight it. Yeah. Is it the closure community? No. So that's actually the thing. I don't think it's any of those. I think you have let's not make that red. You have the Rust community. You have what's the Python drama, by the way? What's the Python drama? I don't know what this is. I'm not in the Python community, so but I am interested in the Python drama. Please go for it. Python. You have the C#. You guys get the picture. We can put all of these communities. You know, there's like a .NET Core, .NET Core, or whatever that community is. There's the it's not even just languages. We're gonna go with like what is this called? The React. Not like React streamers. I mean like React the project. Oh, I didn't see that, Apollo. I'll have to look for it. All right. So there is a community that bridges all of these. And this is the most toxic community. Now, like I said, you're not going to bait me into going into it, but it's not the communities you think of. There is a community made up of people that bridges all of these. And this is the most toxic community. IEEE. IEEE is fantastic. Okay, it's not the IEEE. But that's good. That's good. That's fantastic. Is it New Jersey? Dang it. Dang it. No, it would be... Wait, is it New York or New Jersey that's more toxic? I don't know. And this is the hard thing. When you're in New York City, it could be somebody from New Jersey. And it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. But it's pretty toxic. We're going to put them as an honorable mention. We'll put them as an honorable mention. Yeah. Definitely wait, how do you spell Jersey? I have no idea. There we go. Honorable mentions of the most toxic community. That's fair. I'm sure that most of the New Jersey, New York population is part of this community. All right. Narachio 8. This is actually what I think is very, very rough to say. Most of Rust users were just toxic and trashy. There were definitely outspoken people from the Rust community that did do that. But to say most of the Rust users, look, there's a lot of people in the Rust community that are not. That are super, super duper helpful. And I'm not even including myself because I don't consider myself that big of a Rust community person. There were a lot. And that's actually what I hate on the most, is because I think this toxic community makes it worse for those people, because you'll say that. But like, was it a lot of Rust people? Now, maybe there were a lot of Rust people, but a lot of Rust people are just very excited about something that they see fixing a lot of problems. And that's not being toxic when you think that a language has done something pretty cool. Now, don't get me wrong. There's definitely toxic Rust people, but there's also toxic Python people. There's toxic C# people. There's toxic .NET Core people. There's toxic React people. You can find them anywhere. I actually think that I would like to start trying C# as my API layer. I've been using Go as my API layer, just like a higher. I want something quick and simple. I think I want to start using it's not called .NET Core anymore. It's super confusing. So I don't know exactly what it's called nowadays, but effectively that .NET Core, yeah, .NET Core-ish thing. That's what I've always heard, Apollo, is that C# with APIs is amazing. And one of the things that I love about C# APIs that I have been told that works is you make an API and you can get it to generate a open API Swagger spec. Or it's not Swagger anymore. It's just Open API spec. Like it from the code, which means if you change the API, that Open API spec also changes, which is just like really awesome. So you never have this outdated, I mean, obviously your comments and stuff, but like the actual what is being put in, like what are the inputs, what are the outputs, like that's like super. This alone makes me want to use C# for it. I love this aspect of it. Can you do this with Rust and Axum? Maybe you can. It's not exactly what I was wanting. I'll have to try this. This looks good. But anyways, I do like having a prototyping language, if nothing else, because if there's one thing, Rust can be stickly to change. Rust can be a little bit more stickly to change. Which is good because it makes you rethink through those changes, especially when you start putting lifetimes into things and needing the lifetimes for performance or whatever. What you find out is that Rust resists that change. So if you're prototyping and want to just get something out without thinking about lifetimes, without thinking about whether you clone something or something, and just see if it works, I like having that high level language. I don't think that there's anything wrong in having that to prototype something out. Maybe even enter production initially with, and then as you need that performance, siphoning stuff off for Rust. Hey, look, if we had this thing as a Rust thing, we would save $1,000 a month. Maybe that's worth it. Well, I mean, OpenAPI is just Swagger 3, right? I mean, like, it's still the same group doing it. They just made it an open source spec, right? All right, let's jump into Fly.io versus the null cloud. Let me change the description, the titles. All right, so Thursday and Friday, I got Twitch alerts running on Fly.io. I explored their system a little bit. And let's talk about, so I've been asked quite a few times, like, what the major difference is between Fly.io and the null cloud. What I think is the biggest differentiator. And to be honest, I never used Fly.io to make a deployment, and I have today. Now we have now, I didn't stream this. I was going to stream it, but the actual thing was really easy, and it was a lot of just configuration. So let's jump into what that configuration change was really quickly. We also need to change this from Twitch alerts. I'm gonna open it up to the community. We're gonna name our Twitch alerts. It's gonna have a name, the AI powered Twitch alerts. I'm not sure what it is gonna be, but we're gonna do it via the community. All right, so let's do null cloud. Null cloud versus Fly.io. All right. Oh, look at that. It's going to cost me roughly $2 a month, which is not bad. Not bad at all. All right. Oh, you know what? The one thing that we need to do is we need to update this right here. HTTP twitchalerts.fly.dev. Okay. I need to update the Twitch alerts on here to point to this, or else they will never work. All right. HTTPS Twitch alerts.fly.dev. All right. In theory, we now have Twitch alerts. Whether we actually do or not, who knows? Who knows? All right. Let's get into look at that! Twitch alerts are working! Dutch, thanks for unfollowing and following again. You are my #1 tester. You are my #1 tester. Until you forget to follow again, and then you disappear, I'll have to check in. Like, if I don't see you for a couple of months, I'll have to like check in with you, just be like, hey Dutch, did you unfollow again? Did you It's literally your job at this point. Yeah, no, I think that I need to give C# a good try, because I do like having that high level prototyping language, API language, especially like if you're talking about having some people that maybe will help you with like front end, and lightly on the back end. You know, having something that's not Rust would make it easier for them to join in and work with. So, Chandler, it's good to see you. Absolutely. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't used C# since .NET 1 version 1. That's the last time I used C#. So, all right. So, this is what has changed. Let's talk about it. Let me put a marker in here. Dutch, I avoid pretty much at this point. I avoid most. Were you not here for my take yesterday that people have tried to cancel me for? I don't think like things like Entity Framework, just period. Link to SQL is the way. Oh. Is there something like SQLX? I would use something like SQLX. If I get 1 million subscribers, those are people paying. Yeah, I'll get a tattoo. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'll let you guys pick what it says, though. I'm not that stupid. 1 million, like, it's a lot of money, but maybe not that much money. That's a whole lot of money, actually. Wait, that would be like, well, it depends on where the subscribers are coming, but it would probably be at least $1 million. That's quite a bit. All right, let's all right, so fly.io. Oh, you were talking YouTube. Okay, you were talking YouTube, not Twitch subscribers. Arbol for life. You may suggest tattoos. If I get 1 million followers, maybe I'll get Arbol for life. We'll see how that takes off. All right. I used skates and all I got was stomach ulcers. All right. Welcome, Twitch and YouTube. Today, I want to go over, I just got to use fly.io, and I wanted to go over, a lot of times people have asked me, what is different between fly.io and the null cloud? And I wanted to cover that. I also wanted to cover what changes I had to make to deploy my application on fly.io, give you guys those takes, show you what I did, how I did it, and some of the differences. So let's jump into first what I had to do. The first thing that I had to do, you'll notice the changes here, is when you go into a local repository like our Twitch alerts, you have to type fly launch. And now I don't want to do this because I don't want to launch this application a second time, but this is how you launch an application. And it takes the Docker file, whatever Docker file you have, it builds it and it deploys it. That's how it works. Now it also makes this fly.toml, so we can look at this. And it's pretty simple. It's just a toml of the deployment. And you'll notice we have two services because we have the web service, but we also have the webhook service. So that's how this works. And that's fantastic. Let me check something really quickly. I'm still not getting the Twitch alert sound. Did you guys get the Twitch alert sound? I'll pay attention to it in the future. All right. So this is basically their base deployment file. And it's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. If you've done any configuration, it was pretty straightforward to set up. I set up my 2 services. This is just exposing them to the outside world. I like this approach. This is what the null cloud was going to do, is basically make you expose what APIs and endpoints you wanted. I actually wanted it to be finer grain. In theory, I wanted it to be route based as well, so you could expose a service, but only certain routes if you wanted to. But this is actually pretty cool and pretty powerful. And then here, these are just environment variables. That's pretty easy. What you'll notice is we don't have secrets in here. And that is handled like this. Just fly secret set, and then you do like my secret equals something. And this is actually going to deploy that secret to this app that's in this directory. That's this thing. I'm not doing my secrets here. This is actually why I didn't deploy it with you guys on Thursday, was because most of this was just setting up secrets and getting it all working. So this is the first place where I think that there could be improvement. I would really like, I'm just going to do fly improvements that I would like to see. Better secret management. Its secret management is fine, but that actually kind of sucks. So like they double encrypt your secret, it's in there, and they inject it into the container running. So like it's fine from a secret management perspective. It's not fine from a management perspective. From having a central place to manage secrets. So if I wanted to have one secret that was used, you probably shouldn't, but if I wanted to have one secret that was used to generate short-term tokens, I couldn't do that. I would have to add it to each one of these. I also have fears of how I would do secret rotation. I would love integration with Vault or AWS secret management or something like that. I realize those are other people's clouds, but I would love to see something like that, or provide that type of functionality here. You know, there's no way for me to really manage things like that. Okay, so I would like a little bit better secret management. It's fine though. I'm being nitpicky. It's fine. Okay, so that was pretty much it. But you'll notice that there are 2 things here that changed. There's this, and there's this that changed. Let's jump into this first. So if we vim wait, was it what file was that? I forget. Index.html. That's what it was. My goodness. All right. So the first thing that happened was here, because this deploys at twitchalerts.fly.dev, dev requires SSL. And so I had to change this to WSS because originally it was all local and I didn't have certs for it. And so this was one change. Not a bad thing. This is actually a good thing in theory. But yeah, this is just one of those small changes that had to be done. Not a big deal. We could actually parameterize this out, whether we're running with secure website. It wasn't a big deal for me at the time, but you guys are probably seeing where we're going with this, with these changes that needed to be done. Very minor, very minor. So the next thing is this right here. Let's see, the Docker file. Let's check out the Docker file. I didn't actually spell Docker, did I? All right. So what happened with the Docker file is this. Fly deploys one container. That's actually it. So when deploying to Fly, your application needs to be one container. This is probably fine for a lot of people, but I use Lightstream. And so I had to update this to be one container. So you can see here, I download Lightstream here, and then down here, I copy Lightstream in. And then, so this is the biggest changes that I did, was I downloaded Lightstream, and then I copied Lightstream in, and then instead of starting our application, I started this script. This is the Lightstream configuration, and it's just really simple configuration. We'll go check that out in just a second. So let's go check it out. So these are the two things. So the Lightstream configuration is just my lead node where, you know, we back up that database and the path perfectly fine. And then the other script is this one. And this basically does what our container was doing in our Kubernetes deployment. You remember how we deployed 2 containers? This script does that. It's nothing really unique. Basically, we check if there's a database. If it already exists, we skip the restore. If there is no database, we restore it. And we move on. And this is Lightstream replicate exec. What this does is Lightstream actually has a way to run a sub process. And so it runs our Twitch alerts as a sub process. Instead of being 2 co-processes, like in our last one, our Twitch alerts is now a sub process. This all worked fine. I just had to figure out to do it and like get it all together, get all the configuration and the secrets configured correctly, and it's just worked. As you can see, our Twitch alerts work. So that was all I had to do to take Twitch alerts. Now let's talk about how it's different than the null cloud. I stepped you through all of that to then say, let's talk about how what I envisioned as the null cloud is different than this. So major differences. The very first one is Fly.io actually works for other people than me, you know. Now, I know at the very end of the null cloud, before I started packing it up, you could actually log in and through the API, not the web graphical interface, but through the API, you could actually launch a container if you knew what the API was, which was not documented. It's fantastic because it's in Go, and Go has no way to document an API automatically. But you could actually do it. And it actually worked as long as the project was Rust or Go, which was pretty cool. But for the most part, Fly.io actually works. The null cloud doesn't. So kudos to them. The null cloud actually does a lot of what they do, but just in a single region. And making it work in multiple regions is hard. So also kudos to them. Fly.io is containers only at this point. So the null cloud is also only containers. But the whole idea was that it wouldn't ever be just only containers. That was just the easiest thing to support. I don't know their future roadmap. If they'd like to join me for some sessions, I'd happily have them on. And then probably this one is the biggest difference. Fly.io is CLI push driven versus pull driven. And let me show you what I mean by that. In Fly.io, you would clone the repository. You would run fly deploy. So if we wanted to make a deployment here, all we would have to do is do fly deploy. And this would make the deployment. We can actually do this. Let's do this. It will work in the background. It's going to build my container. There it goes. It's a slow builder. It builds on their system. And it's going to deploy a new version. Whatever the new code there is, it's going to deploy it. Now, this is probably the biggest difference between mine and theirs. Because in theory, I could have made a change to the code here and not pushed it to Git. And it would deploy it. Now, obviously, I could use fly deploy in a GitHub action on commit to the main branch or the production branch and basically make it so that when I push to Git, the flyctl deploys it. And that's probably what we'll do. That's probably what we'll do because I probably shouldn't be deploying it here. But that is the biggest difference so far that I know of right now. This was the null cloud. You used a CLI to configure this, but the null cloud watched a specific branch and said, I'm going to deploy this specific branch. Did you guys get the sound? Thank you so much for the follow. Thank you so much for the follow. You're a legend. All right, so you guys can hear the sound. I am not getting the sound, which I'm gonna have to work on because I think what it is that the Rode is not pumping the sound from the Mac Mini into my headphones. So if I'm missing that you guys are getting, that you're following, I apologize. I actually probably should turn those off during videos, but that's actually broken right now. And I don't have a good fix for it. So anyways, this is the biggest difference because the null cloud here was a purely Git based. You had to make the commit into Git to change what the null cloud did. Nothing on your local one did. And the idea was that we could take this and we could make different branches that meant different things. So like these could be purely private and this one could be public. I realize that private and public also start with a P. This is a capital P. This is Go, guys. This is capital P, which means it's public. All right. So basically, the idea was with a single Git repo, you could have multiple branches that represented different things. This could be a production environment. This could be a QE environment, and this could be a dev environment. So, you know, devs could merge their PRs here, and then they could cherry pick or merge however you want to deal with it, those to beta, and do a release like this where all of these are accessible environments that you can go into, that you can leverage, that you can use, and they're all based off of the Git repo. It's also then deterministic of what changes are going to happen between here and here. You can see the whole plan to take the dev branch to the beta branch. You can see what that would do. And that was this is probably the one biggest difference I see in fly.io and the null cloud. The other thing that I don't see from fly.io is I wanted to make it as much as possible configuration for you. So in Fly, you can create a database. Let's see. You can go over here and do their LightFS Cloud. You can create a cluster. And you can connect your application to this. Now, this is probably initially what the null cloud will do as well, to be honest. But the end goal was that you would get a database if your application needed a database. I have ideas on how that might work, but I haven't had the time to put those into effect. So yeah, anyways, I don't know. If you're watching on YouTube, that's my major differences that I know of right now, the null cloud versus fly.io. Good job to the Fly people. They've gotten something out, and it's pretty cool. That's like the biggest difference that I see is this right here. And yeah, it's deployed. We should be able to see. Let's see. It was on version 18. Yeah, we're on version 19 now. Now, this is another weird thing that I want to say that I have a complaint about. And I don't like. Now, there could be a way around this, and I just don't know Fly well enough. But if you noticed, nothing changed. I didn't change any code. But it rebuilt the entire container. It has no way to know that. So if we go in here and we do a vim fly.toml and we add or change an environment variable, let's say we change this one, guess what? And then we do fly deploy. It's going to rebuild everything, even though it doesn't need to. So I want to see a better approach around that. Yeah. I have this warning. The app is not listening on the expected addresses and will not be reachable by fly proxy. You can fix this by configuring your app to listen on the following addresses. I'm not listening on 22. I have a rogue process. I assume SSH is installed on this machine. Because I don't pare it down. I just use straight from Ubuntu at this point. Which is bad. I give you that. But I was running into so many problems with my chiseled instances. I don't know if they were the thing rate limiting me, but guess what? I'm not rate limited anymore. So I don't know if this was the thing doing it. We could go back to chiseling our thing, but I removed the chiseled part and just did straight from Ubuntu. No chisel. So possibly SSH is running. Null Cloud offering free trials. Let me put it this way. Since when I am running it all, if you are a VIP or a subscriber, like a Twitch subscriber, this is not a arrow. This is like a or. Let me change that. Both of these people will be able to run will have a free trial. And if I have capacity, anybody will be able to try it. That's for sure. I don't care if people want to try it. But these people will be able to run basically what I'm running on here indefinitely. I mean, you guys are supporting me one way or another. VIPs are people that have worked in the community, helped to answer people's questions on Discord, and just been a general help. It doesn't mean they're mods or anything like that, just that they've helped other people and I notice their work. They get special stuff on Twitch, and subs obviously have subbed, so they monetarily support. But all right, cool, let me end that. The other thing, let's see, we had Fly versus that. So yeah, anyways, I've liked Fly. I think it's pretty cool. It was pretty easy to get going, and I like that part of it. They have this weird shared IP addresses, which is weird. They have some special way of figuring out whose app it's going to, but it doesn't work. I can't access my app through this IP address. Especially because it requires .dev requires HTTPS. It requires TLS. So you can't just access this. So anyways, they just tag basically this. So all of my traffic goes to this IP address, but it's tagged with the DNS name. So this is 100% what I was doing with Istio. Is basically, I have one ingress point. Everybody got the same IP address. And And it was just based off of your DNS. Yeah. Now, one problem I have right now is I made, if you guys remember, I made this admin panel. Admin. We can just go here. Admin here. All right. I made this admin panel where I could stop. Now, this doesn't work right now. And the reason it doesn't work right now is because I said I don't want it to work. I disabled this because anybody could go and stop my queue at this point, which would be super annoying. Because it used to be that it was privately on my network and nobody else could access it. So now I have to do login. We have to add login, the ability to log in. The admin panel should only be, I'm actually thinking about trying to tie it to Twitch login. So you have to log in via Twitch. So like admins on Twitch would be able to log into it as well. I think that would be cool, especially for other people that wanted to use it. How long does the null cloud take to build Rust projects? It's pretty slow. It's pretty slow. It has a 2-core 4 gig memory limit on its container right now. So so anyways, yeah, I had to break this because we gotta figure out how to do some sort of login. I thought about doing something like really dumb, like just hard coding a password would be safe enough. Razzo Beckett, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry to hear that. All right. So the other video that I wanted to do. Oh, the ROI of generative AI. The ROI of generative AI. You can ask me a DNS domain related question. Go for it. Somebody like Dirk is probably better at answering it. There's people in the community. Ask the question. There's people in the community probably better suited to answering it. But yeah, go for it. All right. Let's look at this. How did I get to do stuff? Oh, like this? Plugins. Plugins, my friend. That one is the Kanban plugin. The coolest part about the Kanban plugin is this is all Markdown. So like we can go here and add a note here, new note. So atomics and locks. Here are all my notes. Whatever. This is a Markdown page. This is a Markdown page that defines this, and this actually links to those notes where you can go open them up and edit them. It's actually pretty cool. The greatest thing about this right here is I push all of this to GitHub. And so because it's all Markdown, it's all in GitHub. So you guys can go and pull this, open it up in Obsidian, see what I'm working on. you could even make a typo, and I don't look for pull requests, so you'd have to tell me that you made a pull request fixing stuff, because I do put all of my notes and stuff in here, so if you wanted to correct some of them, you could. Not that I'm asking or that you should do that. I don't think that's a good use of your time. You know, maybe if people start, you know, coming back to my notes more, we could look at that, but for the most part, it's there for you for information if you want it, but how do companies like Slack achieve yourcompany.slack.com for each company workspace? Do they have a .slack routing, a star. So there's a couple ways that you can deal with it. I don't know how Slack does it specifically, but a service mesh type of thing absolutely can be the way to do it. It comes down to somewhat of what their architecture is. Do they have, for every company, do they have a different instance? If they do, that level of routing absolutely is required. I don't know if that, one second, let me draw this, because this is maybe a little bit easier to draw. So what I mean by that is if your company.slack.com is its own instance in Slack, let's see, and so, you know, this is ibm.slack.com and whatnot, like whatever. What you could do there is doing an ingress rule. Ingress. Obviously, you could cut this and slice this many different ways, but basically, you know, yours then from ingress gets put in here. Now, that doesn't mean this is their architecture. I don't know what their architecture is. I'm happy to talk to them about what their architecture is if they'd like to join me on a stream. But their architecture could be where this is all one instance back here. Oh my goodness, let me select this stupid okay, go to the background. Send backwards. All right. It could be that this is all one instance. And then what could be happening is that they're tagging here. They could just tag that traffic as this customer. So I think honestly how you deal with it depends on what your architecture looks like. I have a big fat head sometimes. So if it's all one instance back here, you're absolutely able to just tag, you know, when it comes in as that, whatever you want to do, whether you put it in a header or whatnot. Your ingress can just tag that sucker. Whereas here, when you have actually different instances, different databases, whatever, the ingress and actually routing it to different locations makes a ton of sense. I like this model for multi-tenancy a lot better because it's simpler to keep things multi-tenant, right? Like this can be on its own network, on its own everything inside of here, and it just keeps it simple. Whereas this is a little bit more difficult to keep the multi-tenancy. You have to keep, you have a real risk of leaking people's information. You actually have a really good point. A lot of people do this. Like here, let's can I log into MongoDB? Let's see. Can I log into MongoDB? Un momento, por favor, mi amigos. I'm hoping they don't ask for a credit card. Let's check. All right. So when you go to create a MongoDB, It looks like this. And what you can do here is you can do basically shared and not shared. And when they say shared, and why share is so much cheaper, is when they say shared, they're doing this effectively. There's some ways to do this, not this terribly, but they're effectively doing this. And that's why it's so much cheaper. They're splitting your workloads on a single machine or across a couple machines, and the networks are shared. And then when they say dedicated, that's what they mean. They're not actually, they used to say shared and dedicated, like really big. They've changed this. It might be that I haven't put in a credit card or anything, because they're not giving me all the options. But yeah, see, RAM and CPU shared versus this is dedicated. They used to say it really, so it's a hybrid approach. And so 2.8, you're probably right that small channels do this, or possibly non-paid channels do this, and paid channels do this. That would be my guess. It's not about the size. It's about whether you're paid or not. Yeah, but updating and deploying can be a nightmare for iterations. That is true about everything. That is absolutely true. All right, let's talk about the return, or the return on investment of generative AI. If anybody sees ROI, that's what the return on investment. Google came out and made a major claim. Let me mark this. They came out. YouTube, Twitch, welcome. Just this week, Google came out with a huge study that they state as a study on the return of investment on generative AI. When you see ROI, that's what they are talking about. And I wanted to break down why I think that this is marketing, not a study, should be not taken at face value. And if Google wants us to understand it or believe it a little bit more, they need to actually list their methodology, because that's the biggest thing from this study, is they don't talk about their methodology. And the very end closing statement is a sales point. Contact us to book your Gen AI value consultation today. Okay? Now, I had to give them my email to get this. You guys don't have to, because I'm going to step you through the highlights. It's a 44-page catastrophe that Google released. Now, let's walk through the return of investment of Gen AI. Now, when I was first reading through this, I like to cover these things for the news for you all, and I know I talked more about it yesterday. I was very upset about this. This sets you up that this report is based on a survey of 2,500 senior leaders of global enterprises with $10 million in revenue or more. Conducted by Google Cloud and National Research Group, it provides a comprehensive benchmark of the impact of Gen AI on business and financial performance. Now, the National Research Group maybe did some really good research, but they didn't release it. And there's a lot of points that I want to step through here, but we'll go through it. Unless otherwise noted, all statistics in this report are derived from a survey and only include those who are using Gen AI in production. Okay. So this is about the most explanation of the methodology used in the entire thing. So let's do it. A 14-minute online survey. This whole thing was a 14-minute online survey conducted by a few CEOs, a few CFOs, a CMOs, and CTOs. I only know CTO out of that. Chief Financial Officer, Chief Marketing Officer. This is the Chief Technical Officer. This one I know, and this one I know. Okay. These are good. These are good. All right. So, and we can see roughly it was a worldwide thing. 250, 204, 200, one, you know, and they did a pretty good job of covering a bunch of different countries. But this is also brings into question the methodology. So this isn't really methodology as far as who the survey surveyed, which annoys me. This isn't the definition of methodology. This is who it did. Here's their breakdown of methodology. Must be at least interested in Gen AI use cases. Okay, that contradicts this, which means that unless otherwise noted. So, but they don't give the breakdown of which ones of these were just interested. So is the whole thing just people interested? I don't know. A robust presentation from priority industries. What are those industries? They don't go into that. Field work was conducted over 3 months. Actually, like two months. So we got 2 months of field work. And that's it. This is their entire methodology. Google, you can't get away with this. This is not methodology. Okay? I'm sorry. I actually am very, very upset about this. Because this is the type of hyperbole that is given. This is the type of garbage that is just spewed with hype-driven development. And I absolutely can't stand it. I absolutely can't stand it. Now, I have some proof to back up my side of things as well. But let's continue. Yeah. This whole thing read Google saying, "Trust us, bro." And then at the very end, pay us to consult you. Because this is a paid consultation, as far as I understood it. I couldn't get through the whole sign up. I tried. I wanted to see if I could get a free consultation. It was way too much work, though. All right. So then we move on to key insights. And this is where there's just not enough information. So 74% of enterprises using Gen AI report return on investment within the first year, with 86% of those reporting increased revenue, noting a 6% or more increase. This needs so much more because this is a problem. And this is a problem with statistics and taking statistics because you can make them mean anything. Let me show you another statistics. Azure and other cloud service revenue growth of 29%. Okay, so how did they measure revenue growth? Was this the revenue growth of the entire company? Because how did you know it was of the AI thing? Because if you look into it, they say that one thing that they found, where was this? Was if it was integrated deeply with your core product. That if it was based into your core product. And if that's the case, how do you know that it's the Gen AI that was the 6% more revenue? And how... It doesn't go into any of this, and whether the people even had the insight into it. All right, 45% of organizations that report improved productivity have seen employee productivity double or more as a result of Gen AI. These people don't know what they're talking about. Now, again, this depends on industry. If you're talking about a writer, maybe a writer can be much more effective with something that can spew garbage out quickly for them. Maybe if you're talking about support. Let's say that some of these people have made all of their documentation have an AI that's ragged on their documentation that helps people. If that's the case, absolutely. But the problem is this doesn't break down what these people said they saw more productive. If this was their help and support, absolutely. Absolutely. I could see it. If this is their engineering, I absolutely don't see it. And these people are full of garbage. Full of garbage. Also, this doesn't break down what methodologies they used to understand that productivity. It was a 14-minute survey where people used their feelings. They didn't say any of these people actually did anything prior to the 14-minute survey before doing it. They weren't asked to actually implement the Dora metrics before and after. They weren't asked for any of those types of things. And I can tell you, a company that does $10 million isn't that big to have all their crap worked out. Freakex, you also have feelings. Where can you take it? Are you a CEO? Because only CEOs were really given the chance to have their feelings heard. All right. Executive level support and strategic alignment are critical. This is true about everything. Another life's tip. If you walk into a meeting with C-suite people, say this. They'll love it. Executive level support and strategic alignment are critical. Or crucial. Or critical. They're both. Critical and crucial. This is true. Let's move on. That's critically crucial. It's critically crucial. Look at this survey, which if you go and you look at their announcement, the ROI of generative AI, like they take this as a global survey. Learn from the general who are already seeing significant gains in annual revenue. What are we learning here? Are we learning that executive level support and strategic alignment are critically crucial? I haven't learned much yet. We're on page 7 though. The benchmark, the global business impact of Gen AI. This 14-minute survey that they just compiled some stuff on. This is a farce of research. When you tell me that people came in and took a 14-minute survey, that's not research. I'm sorry, that's not research. We assess business value measures across 2 categories: the direct financial impact of Gen AI solutions and the business benefit that organizations realize as a result of leveraging Gen AI in production. Now, don't get me wrong. Doing this level of research would be hard. To actually understand this would be really hard. And this is where I can tell you businesses don't even understand themselves. And that's the problem. You just took what they said, their feelings, at face value. All right. 3 in 4 organizations are currently seeing return on an investment from Gen AI investments. Okay, so you want to know a funny story. I get LinkedIn requests from a lot of people telling me that they can triple my return on investments. And I've had a couple with return on investments from Gen AI. And I have accepted those friend requests and asked those people to prove the metrics, the research methodology they used to me, their return on investments. And in what categories? Was this a chatbot? Was this a help website? Was this what was it? What category was it that they saw the return on investment on? Not one of them has returned to me. Not one of them has pestered me again about their return on investment. That's all of them claim it. All right. Of organizations using Gen AI in production and seeing revenue growth, estimate 6% or more gains to overall. This wasn't a methodology. This was purely they estimated 6% or more gains to overall, and that's what they're estimating. Again, but we don't know in what. This is so important when you're running a survey. And honestly, the Stack Overflow one used to do this pretty well. It didn't in this last one. But this is like the super important thing to ask here. What is your industry that you're in? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? What is the thing that you're trying to do? And that's so important. That's so important, and it's just not here. It's just not, it is completely lacking from this entire thing. Another thing that I want to point out is that Microsoft basically said that it was going to have to spend more money on AI infrastructure, and that the payoff from this heavy investment was going to be much longer down the road. So even Microsoft came out and said one of the biggest AI related products, Copilot. All right. So, and what I want to point out is this, like, was some of the people that actually have numbers. The interesting thing is Copilot. Azure AI now is used by more than 60,000 customers, up nearly 60%. And they're having a hard time getting the return on investment. Microsoft, with 60,000 customers, aren't reaching a return on investment. The other thing that I found really interesting, let me see if I can't find it. One second. Give me just a second. I need to find this. It was in one of these. Oh, all right. This is the one that I wanted to focus on because I find this hilarious. Now, it's very public how much Copilot cost. It costs $20. And this is also for an enterprise organization because I am the owner of enterprise organizations that I can access and I could pay for. And the thing is, it's also $20. Okay, so Copilot is $20. The GitHub Copilot has won 70,000 users. Now, let me also tell you this. Open source contributors like myself have gotten it for free. I'm a Copilot enjoyer, and I have it for free. Now, I wouldn't pay $20 for it, but let's do it. It's won it in 2 years since its debut, and CEO Satya noted the revenue it generates tops of GitHub's earning when Microsoft acquired it. And Microsoft acquired GitHub in 2018, and people thought the revenue was around $3 million a year. Okay. Let's jump into the world's best calculator. Let's jump into the world's best calculator. Okay, we're in the world's best calculator. All right, 77,000. Okay. Now we can actually do this math. That's the cool thing here. 77,000 times 20 per month. Okay, so that gives us per month, and then we can actually multiply that by. Let's see, that is multiplied by 12 to get a yearly revenue. Okay, that's not how you do it. How do you multiply? You can use the last thing, right? We'll just type it. 1540000 times 12. And if every single one of those 77,000 users were paying, which I'm one of them and I'm not paying, we're talking about we're talking about $18 million. I don't understand this statement. I don't understand this statement. The only thing I could understand about this, possibly, is if they're including growth from Microsoft 365 in their Copilot stuff. But then, how do you know? Because I don't understand this statement. It can't be 300 million because it's like 18 million, right? But then I understand that Office and all those things have it, but that they were talking about GitHub Copilot, 177,000 users. And those other things are much harder to understand, whether the Copilot won it for you or if Excel won it for you. Did those people buy it because of Copilot, or did they buy it because they needed Excel? Nobody needs Excel. That's a horrible statement. They wanted Excel. They wanted pain. They wanted suffering. You think GitHub is profitable? Oh, GitHub is ludicrously profitable. That would be my guess. Name you a replacement for Excel. It's Microsoft Access. Come on, get in. It's 2024. Get using Access, okay? Please, Excel. Copilot has overage fees? Not the developer one, right? I don't know. Like I said, they give it to me for free. Does Microsoft Access not actually exist? It still exists. Yeah. Take your fake news out of here. All right. So, anyhow, I don't want to get stuck into Copilot or whatnot. Like, those were just interesting things that I found around. I also think that it's much more difficult to say that Copilot is making you that much if you're counting it across all the suites. Because what happens when you're doing that is, did they buy it for Copilot? Like Windows Copilot. There's Copilot in Windows. Did they buy Windows? What amount of the share of Windows, of the sales of Windows, is going to Copilot because it has Copilot? It gets very murky then, right? It's then very much a guessing game of how many people bought us because, what percentage of people bought us because of that? So I think that's a pretty bad, a pretty murky way of going around it. So again, we have this return on investment timeline for Gen AI use cases. This timeline again doesn't tell us like really useful things, right? Now, how I read this is in each one of these industries. Like I said, there's a lot of industries, and that makes these other stats very difficult to see. This is how I'm reading this, but there wasn't a good explanation of it. Is in these industries, these are the return on investment. But the hard part is engineering and developer productivity. Would a database be in this, or are they talking about the people they talk to? So if they talk to Aerospike and they talk to our sales and marketing, did they talk to our sales and marketing? I don't know. Now, our return on investment on Gen AI stuff is good because we have vectors. Again, there's no explanation here. You know, was it the person they're talking to if they're in sales and marketing? Was it the industry that the company worked in? But again, you're seeing this. And this is when people thought that they would see a return on investment. Some people thought they were seeing it now, within the next year, or within 5 years. How long out in the future they thought they were seeing. And this is the only breakdown of this, which is another thing that's problematic with this. Roughly, let's say 30%. 30% think that they're seeing a return on investment. 30% of the people think that they have a return on investment. And yet up here, we say 74% are currently seeing a return on investment. So as far as the stats go, they contradict each other. Now, I'm sure that they have statistics that back this up, but we can't see those statistics. We can't see the methodology that they got to this. How did they go from 30% to 74%? I don't know, in just 2 slides. I'm going to stop here because effectively, this is the entire thing. I don't know, and I'm upset by the fact that the National Research Group took place in this and didn't ask for their name to be expunged. Right. Future Highway. All the people who are interested in AI believe that there'll be a positive return on investment within 5 years. We are not sure what people uninterested think. It's anyways. National Research Group. You should take your name off this. You should ask for it to be expunged. Add. Again. Anyways, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can join me live. You can pester me live on Twitch. Thanks for watching. And the rest of Twitch, let's keep going. We have Arbol to implement. We have Arbol to implement. Wait, what was BRIB? What was BRIB? What does BRIB stand for again? I'm sorry, I got lost in our made-up names. Oh, a byte indexed ring buffer. You know what? I'll let the community name it. Effectively, those two things mean the same thing, right? It's a ring buffer of logs. The logs are on disk. The ring buffer is in memory, right? They most certainly do not mean the same thing. Just curious, why Edge? Why Edge? That's a good question. I actually am going to go back to Firefox. After a month ago, they had a release. So one, I like the vertical tabs because I do the news. And when I do the news, I do it in this right here. And basically I get to, let's see, basically I get to have just the article. It's a very clean experience for the news. And I can switch through the news like this, right? So I find it a very clean way of doing the news with the vertical tabs. Also, I have less vertical space than I do horizontal space. So again, that's another reason I like them. And Firefox for the longest time didn't have support for that. The other thing that I like when I'm doing the news is I'll do stuff like this. Is I'll add this to a new tab group and we'll call this the ROI of AI. And then I can actually add all these things into this section. And so this is actually how I organize. And then, like this will be like, security. And so this allows me to put these things in security. And then if I want to put like this allows me to organize the news stream really quickly and easily because I can just put these things where I want them to be, like this. And yeah, it's like I said, it's nice for the news. Putting MongoDB in security. It was just me organizing stuff to show you guys what I did for the news stream and why this worked so well. Like I haven't seen a system for the news that has worked this well. This is literally the reason there's two main reasons. This reason, and then it triggers people that I run Edge on Arch. Those are the two main reasons that I run Edge on Arch. It's also been incredibly stable. I had a problem. So I did some plugins that allowed me to group tabs on Firefox. So I got something like this in Firefox, this tab grouping. It wasn't as nice as what Edge has done, but it's not quite as nice, but it worked, but I think it caused instability in the browser. So it crashed on me a couple of times. And I literally had to one time I delayed the news for like an hour because it crashed and wasted all my work because the tab grouping was outside of Firefox and it didn't actually restore. And that was when I ended using Firefox for that. You don't want Opera GX and a cool animated themes and sound? I don't want it to run any slower. Browsers are so slow. Look at this. Look at what's the top. It's going to be browser. Let's see. Memory usage. Edge. Look at that. Edge just sucking up all the memory. I don't want anything more. And Edge is actually probably pretty good compared to a lot of things. Oh, yeah. Ad blocking on the Twitch stream. Thanks for not supporting me. Ouch. I don't know. I personally don't ad block. I think that I actually say that. I actually do ad block on anything that is labeled as my children's devices. So all of my network goes to my own DNS that then has TLS, and all of my children's devices are on pretty much a strict allow list. They're only allowed to go to places and things that are on the strict allowed list. And all of their devices have really strict ad blocking. Because this is where I really struggle with ads, because as an industry, it's gotten out of control. But I also appreciate the free content that I can see because they get paid via ads. So it's a really difficult thing, because like I like supporting people, and I can't pay for every single article that I go read. Like, because then even if it was just $1, I'd have like 200 different people that I follow that I'd be paying $1 to. Like, that's not sustainable either. So having the ads is really nice, but then one, there's not a good way for people to control what ads get shown. You know, obviously if I get a sponsor or something, that's a pretty easy way to control that. But like on YouTube, I don't get to control what ads YouTube shows. I was gonna say free. Is it free kex? I'm going with free kex. I was gonna say, like, the problem with the ads these days is like, if I could limit it to be like, well, no, I only want good ads, I would then like, but like, you can't even do that. You just sign up for Google Ads and you get whatever garbage that they send you. And so then you're like watching a video and you're like, this is random terribleness. Yeah. Russell, I actually would super do that. A browser that's like $5 a month, blocks all ads, but allows people to sign up for it. So like if you were the New York Times, you could sign up and say, this is my website. And so any traffic that goes, you'd get a portion of that. I would 100% do that. Big browser. I actually think that would be really cool. I don't know. Like, it could just be me, but like, I would totally pay $10 a month to have an ad-free browsing experience that actually supported the people. Because this is what I struggle with, is because like, I do want to support those people. I absolutely do. The Brave thing is like, I don't know. Part of me feels like the Brave thing is actually pretty cool, but they're still giving you ads, right? They just do like responsible ads, which like is actually cool. Like I said, I would have much less of a problem with responsible ads. It's such a one-way street, because on YouTube, you know, you can go to here, youtube.com, and you can go to the Null Labs, and you can watch one of my videos, and advertisers get to say, I don't want to be on his videos, but I don't get a way to say, I don't want that advertiser on my video. It's a purely one-way street, and I hate that. If one thing Google could do to make it way better is to let, and they won't do this because they're making money from those advertisers, but I mean, honestly, those advertisers would have to pay more to make it more lucrative for people. I actually think it would be good for the platform, is to let me go in and say, hey, I don't want these advertisers. They don't pay enough for their hogwash. And, you know, there'd be people that would make more money because they would advertise those people. But for me as a creator, I would love that. I would love to be like, nah, I don't want these people. I don't want them to advertise on mine. I don't know who... isn't Brendan Each the founder of Firefox, I think? I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Yeah. Okay. Google AI wants to advertise to your upcoming AI video. Dude. All right, I need to go get a drink. I'm gonna run a 3-minute ad, and I'm gonna go get a drink. I need a drink. Russell, I want to talk. We need to start designing our ring buffer. We need to start designing this, and whether it's Arbol or I forgot the Brib, Burb. It's Burb, not Brib. Burb. Whether it's Arbol or Brib, Burb. Whether it's Arbol or Burb, I'm not sure. We need to. I want to do high level. And why do I run an ad break? I know we were just talking about ads, but I run an ad break because Twitch forces me to do it, and you might as well have an ad while I'm off getting a drink, right? Right? Okay, so I'm going to be off getting a drink. That way, what happens is I push off ads as far as possible. I literally run as few as possible to not have pre-roll ads, and that's what I'm doing. So if you're wondering, I make almost no money. I made like, I think I made a whole $1 off of last month. So there you go. Whole $1. I'll be right back. All right. All right. I'm back. Sorry. Had to take care of some stuff. All right. Let's talk about this. So I'm actually... This is what I'm thinking. I don't know if it will work. We got to think it through. Our goal is to not lock anymore. We want to get rid of locks. Locks are bad. So I'm going to actually put this in the null DB. We'll probably make an episode of this. I don't know that actually it's a ring buffer or a burb. I don't know that it's either. I'm just going to do arbol slash. We can't do slashes. So we're just gonna do this. All right. What we want to do is, let's see, width. Let's go small. We want to get rid of locking on the main log. It's write only. We're never reading from it. So can we? I think we can do this. Okay. So if this is the file, I think a couple things have to happen, and we're going to make a test project to do this. But what I want to do is I want to have the manager up here. And what the manager is going to do is keep track of where we're in this file. Specifically, the byte offset. So, and this manager, I think, is going to have a ring buffer in it. I think, ring. Are we going to use an atomic? That's what I'm thinking, Russell. Like, this is still pretty raw idea. I know we threw some stuff around on Discord. I said it was impossible. You challenged that statement, and I think you're right. I think it's possible. So we're going to try. We're going to try. So basically what we want to do is have an array of atomics. Do we even need this array? Maybe we don't. Maybe I'm overcomplicating it. Maybe I'm overcomplicating it. And basically then we also want an atomic that is what index we're at. So basically when you make a request, when you write a file, you'll send the thing to write, which will get calculated its size. Let's say it's 5 bytes. 5. Yeah, I don't know. We'll say 5 bytes. You'll calculate the thing to write. And what we have to keep in mind, we can have 3 threads at the exact same time doing this, right? That's the idea. And this one is 19 bytes. This one is 45 bytes. Okay. So these all happen at the exact same time, in theory. And if they all just wrote that here, they would corrupt the file. So what do we do? What do we do? Now, as long as this manager only uses atomics, it's fine, right? So basically, this ring buffer here is the total number of this ring buffer is the total number of possible threads that can write at the same time, right? Because how a ring buffer works. Do you guys know how a ring buffer works? I'll do a really short introduction to ring buffers. Is basically this. A ring buffer uses this one, and then it 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 comes back over here, uses this one, and then it starts overwriting data, basically. And so you can use it as many times as its pre-allocated size is, and it will just keep using the next one. That's the idea behind the ring buffer. The array is the ring buffer, right? Unless you have a better way to do a ring buffer. You can just think of this one, a single linked list. But it's not a linked list. I mean, it's just a vec because you're just accessing by this index. And when the index hits the end of the list, it goes back to 0, right? A lot of the times ring buffers are just bytes. You're right. But we're not writing to the ring buffer. We're writing to the file, right? So whatever we do in memory has to be correlated to the file. And so in general, Russell, you're right that this is just bytes. It's just a vec of bytes, not atomics. I was going to draw out, but it doesn't really matter. It's useless. But see, I don't want to write to this. I'm thinking, so what I was thinking is basically each one of these needs to get where to write next, right? So we need a byte offset to write to, right? Can we just use one atomic? Did I just over engineer this entirely? One second. Let me. If we just have one atomic. Is this all we need? Because this becomes our buffer. But instead of a ring buffer, it's just a write once buffer. Once the buffer gets filled, we start a new buffer, right? So unlike a ring buffer, which fills up and then it starts writing over itself, we want to just start a new log when it gets filled. When this buffer. So our buffer is on disk and it's of a fixed size. So let's say it's 512 meg. That's what I'm now trying to think of. Do I only need 1 byte offset? Can you link to that, Future Highway? Well, link that to me again. I need to now look over that again. Dang it. It feels like we would need more than this. So basically, this one, I'm just going to do them in order, but they could be in any order. We'll start with green first. So green reads this byte offset. The byte offset is 0, and it's 19 bytes, and so it sets it as 19. And it starts to write to the file as from 0 to 19. Red, we'll do blue next. Blue gets it at 19 and sets it to 19 plus 45. Wait. That would be 60. Wait. 19 plus. That would be 64. So that would be that, and it would start writing as 64. I feel like there's another control mechanism that's needed here. But see, I'm not dropping, so I don't think that I need the ring buffer. Right. Like, this is a database. This isn't a buffer. I'm not buffering. So she's probably correct with the 3. I think all I need is 1 atomic, right? I think possibly I can get away with this with just 1 atomic. And then red is going to come in here, and red is going to say, I need 5 bytes. It's got 64, and so it's going to put it to 69. And it's going to start writing at those. I think this is solid. Because we're going to use compaction to drop the files, right? I'm not reading from the file. It's a write-only file. This is write-only. So it's write only until it's finished. So when it's finished and it's moved off as so when we move it off to a log and we have a new main log, when it's the main log, it's read or write only. When it's gone off to being a normal log, then it's read only. Then it becomes read only. So when it's full, it becomes read only. Before it's full, it's write only. So it can't be corrupted. Like then it's not a database. It's not working. It's not storing the data. But during this time, it is only write only. So I think we only need 1 atomic. Right, 1 atomic with compare and swap. I think Mostly Maxi, I would love to talk with Mostly Maxi on this. I have actually followed. I haven't caught in one of her streams, but I will be joining some of her streams. I wanted to talk to her about this specifically, but I think that we can do this. I think it's not a ring buffer because it's just an atomic offset log. Is that AOL? Is this AOL? An atomic offset log? It's atomic index. It's an AI log. Oh, I like it. Okay, that's better than the AOL. It's AI. All right. Should we try to do this in the null database, or should we make a test project? I kind of want to make a test project first to just try it out. Where's my return on investment? That's right. I need to get a good return on investment. All right, I'm changing the description. Let's see. There we go. AOL 2024. Making AOL great again. All right. All right. Cargo new. Here. Cargo in it. I apologize. I apologize. Maybe for you, Future Highway. Maybe for you. I'll send you the official CD. All right. If I ever make a Patreon, if I ever make something like that for people to support me, I'm 100% mailing them a CD at the end of each year with like the code that we've made that year. Like, I'm just going to burn CDs. Like, if you've been like a supporter for 12 months, you get a CD with all the code. That's an amazing, like, I like that. All right. One thing I need to look up is Rust write bytes. I need to write to a specific location. Which I haven't been. I've just been appending. Is this why mostly Moxie was using C? Is there not a good way to write to a position? This could be why it has to have C. That would kind of suck if it wasn't in Rust, though. Write to byte offset in file. Okay, that's not at all what I was looking for. Do I have to get like a buffer of those bytes for the file? I'm struggling with how to 1 second. Let's try ChatGPT. In Rust, how do I write a set of bytes to a specific location in a file? Now, my question is, if I seek to a position, okay, let's say like, let's say that the log that we're currently writing to, let's say it's 100 bytes long. And let's say that 20 things have gotten it. And the thing that's writing right now needs to write here. And this is like 1,000 bytes down. If I seek past where the file has been written, what does that work? This is something I don't know. Like I don't know if this will cause problems. Seek also feels rough because that doesn't feel super efficient. Like, what is Seek doing? Because I feel like with like C, I can just write directly to a location. Yeah, I might need to init the file at the size I want. Yeah, that's what I was worried about. So this should be, Seek isn't like actually like going over each thing. It's basically just setting an index. So Seek should be really, really fast. Okay, that's not a problem. I was worried that Seek was actually like recursively searching through for the position or something. And that would just be too slow. But it looks like it would just be literally updating a cursor position. Okay, that's fine. I think the big thing is we're going to have to start, we're just going to have to make these pages, which is what a lot of databases do anyways. So they just allocate a page, and they write a page to disk as well, because it's usually more efficient. Okay. All right, let's get into it. I'm going to try it. We're doing it in a test thing, so I'm going to try not to allocate the file. Or I'm going to try not to allocate the file as in like allocate the full size of the bytes. I'm just going to try to all right. So, let's So what we're going to need to do is basically... Actually, this will be good. Let's set an offset of 10 and see if this works, right? Let's just run this, right? We haven't... This will... Let's just run this. Right. So we need to do write options to open it, if it doesn't exist. I knew that. Let's see. Can we just do it in line like this? Is there a... I want a create if doesn't... create. Here we go. Do I do new create? I could just do it like we do over here. I'm just going to rip this off because I don't remember off the top of my head how to do it. Right. We would use set length if... Right. We'll... I just want to experiment first with this, right? That's all we're doing. Where do I do the open options here? I just want to see the open options. Here we go. That's what I wanted. I just needed this append. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. I need the new log file. What is that function called? It's not add, remove index. Create next segment file. There we go. Okay, here we go. Oh, we just do create. Okay. Fine. Never mind. I thought I maybe did it in a better one-liner, but whatever. Wait. What is it complaining about? What did I screw up? Oh, I didn't end this. But can I just do this? Can I just do that? Because that would be awesome. Okay, that's what I wanted. I was yeah, we'll truncate it. If we're running a new test, we'll go ahead and truncate it. All right. So it's either going to create it or it's going to empty it. Perfect. Now let's run this. So this didn't fail. Right? We offsetted 100. And And it just okay. So I think we can just offset. That's cool. We don't have to seek. Well, we have to seek, but we don't have to fill it. Which is cool. Let's try it. We're just learning. We're literally just learning. I didn't have to get out of Vim to get back. I don't know. So let's try that. Oh, so seek from start, which is cool. We always probably want to just do seek from start. There's probably like current position and stuff. There's probably like start, end, or current. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. For us, we're always going to assume from the start. Like when you go to write, it's not from its current position or anything like that, because that would be dangerous. So now we're going to seek from start to 20, and we're going to see if that writes, we're going to do, we need to do this. And then we're going to do file write all, hey Bob. Okay. That's not what I wanted. What is the name of this folder? Atomic logging test. Bob. Hello, how are you doing? Beautiful. That's fantastic. So now we should be able to update our stuff to do this, right? And we should, since all we're doing is writing, so we don't need a safe read, we should just need the next byte offset. This actually should be really easy to implement. I think the biggest deal here is we need to update everything to be byte offset and not line offset, right? Seeking can fail, for example, because it might involve flushing a buffer. What does it mean? What does it mean? Like, flushing what buffer? If, oh, you know what I bet it means? I bet, no. This, right, this flushes the buffer, right? I bet if you're doing a write all and seeking at the same time, it could fail. I don't know why that would happen. If we can seek to a place that doesn't exist, why would flushing the buffer change it? Unless if you're seeking to the position, but my understanding is that seek is just setting the position, right? This shouldn't be failable. This should be an atomic, right? That's weird. I don't know, Future Highway. Oh, we're gonna find out though. Luke of Fam, thanks for following. Thanks for following. Sorry I missed it. My computer doesn't tell me that you followed. It tells you that you followed. All right. The problem that I'm seeing right now, though. This is our index. Our index is Major Dum Dum. Any guesses as why this won't work with our index? Ordering? Okay, we might be able to force this to work with our index, but right as it stands, this won't work great for our index. And the reason is, right now, our whole database is based off of lines. But in theory, it should be byte offsets and byte ranges, right? So in theory, this is one record. This is another record. This is another record. Right now, we actually have line breaks, and it is literally the next line after a line break. And our index is actually saying what line is it on. What we need to do is actually say, we actually need to update this. Instead of saying what line, our index should be, this should be our index. It should be a key. And then these two should be it should be something like that, right? So, no, Russell, I think you have another good point. I think you have another good point with ordering. What you're getting at here is, with a log-based database, how do we know what the latest record is? It's the last one put in, right? That's like how you know. But I think this will be fine because the index will just have the latest one inserted into it, right? So that should be fine. It's good to take into consideration making sure that we're pointing at the right log. But we need to actually make this a byte offset. So we need to make this some like tuple of something like start and end, some tuple like that. What? U32 should be fine. So something like a tuple with a start and end. We could probably just make this a struct. It's a point. It's a point. But anyways, we could do that. The first byte of the message could be the length. We couldn't do it. So like this just becomes a U32. We can actually calculate. That will be fun. We can calculate how big this can be for our file size. And then we could just do this. So this is just the start byte, and then the first 8 bytes. Okay. I'm wondering what the theory behind that is. This would save in memory. So this would save us a U32 size in memory to store that on disk. That would make our index smaller. So, but it would require 2 read operations, right? We would read the first 8 bytes at this location, or how much ever, whatever it is that we decide that we need to encode there. And this would actually dictate how large of a record we could hold. We need to read the first X bytes there, and then we need to read the rest of it, yeah? I think, honestly, this is which is more precious at the time. Like, do you have such big indexes that I think that I would do start and end position here, right? This isn't actually Rust having brain issues. This is me having brain issues. Like, Rust is not making this more difficult. This is just, we are trying to write to a file without locking it. I think that I would, I don't know. I need to think about this, but I think that I would do something like this. Probably something like this. Can I do this? Can I do this inline like this? I don't think I can. I wanted to do this. All right, for any of you that are new, let's talk about what the index is for. It's for a database. Now, is this a database for you to just go off and start using? No. We make the NullDB, which what we're trying to do is just learn distributed computation at scale. We're trying to learn those subjects, those topics, those things. And so we make some lessons, we make some videos, and along the way, we actually do all the code as well. It's all open source, so you can all go see it. So this is actually our database index. Right now, it's a hash map index, which it needs to move to not a hash map index. What we move it to is undecided yet. We have basically B trees or a sparse index with LSM trees, which I think we're going to try to do the sparse excuse me, my apologies. We're going to try to do the sparse index with LSM trees. I think it sounds more fun than the B trees. I don't know. B trees. Yeah. You don't know what a B tree is? Can you draw me a B tree? Just some ints. Well, that's Gebs, that's configurable. That's fantastic. This is fine, and this is why I cannot use generative AI. And it's fantastic. This is not a B tree, people. Please. Oh. It splits. Well, I was going to say in databases, it splits evenly-ish. And it splits, like each node can have multiple values. There's different ways of doing it. Like I didn't say binary search tree. That's very specifically something else. We could actually use a binary search tree as a index, but we can also use B trees. B trees have dominated the market there. Google's big table is the one database, the big database that doesn't use it, I think. I want to say that there's another one that... Oh, Cassandra doesn't. It uses the Cassandra rings, which gives you infinite tail latency, but infinite scale. We're going to download this because this might become a... I might need to update it a little bit, but it might become an icon for us. An emoji. Something around this with AI. This is fantastic. Okay. So I think that our index has to become this. And we have to deal with it as bytes instead of lines. And I think mixing the two would be difficult. So this is a bigger update. We probably need to rework a lot of this to make it a little bit more testable too. Yeah, it's already learned what B trees are, guys. Look at this. 3-2, 2-20, 360, 330, 12, 2.1. I love how it also put one non-integer when I said a bunch of ints. Like, it decided there should be this one not integer in here because. Two. It got two non-integers. Fantastic. It seems like twos. It likes to put a period after twos. Interesting. Okay. So I think this works. I was like so dead wrong on this. The one database that I have the most experience with writes in chunks. And so it just flushes these chunks. but it doesn't worry about anything else. And so I've never had to worry about this. It just says, okay, flush this whole chunk. And it writes the whole chunk. So it doesn't care if there's like this record and then another record. It just flushes the whole chunk. It rewrites the whole chunk. I feel kind of dumb because this is not a hard, like what, we are literally just using one atomic to do this whole thing. Dang. Right, Gebs. Like Postgres uses pages, and that page probably gets written as a whole chunk. B trees actually like pages. I don't have pages. This is why I think I'm going to try the big table approach, especially because it's about learning. And B trees, I understand B trees. I haven't done. I understand the concept behind a LSM tree. But I've never done one, so like I think that's what we're gonna do. But right now we just have a hash map. Access writes in chunks. My favorite database. It's my favorite database. Absolutely. My most experience in Access. Okay, so to do this, we need to update how we write. We no longer write by line. That's what Oracle would do. They would rename it to, they would rename it to like really awesome underused source trust. Abbreviates as Rust. Use our Rust database. I just made up an abbreviation, but like that's what they did with the Oracle Cloud. They're like, it's the Oracle whatever, so it abbreviates it to Oracle Infrastructure, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So it's OCI, and you're like, what the crap, Oracle? Look, Rust isn't going, like, I like Rust because I think it solves a lot of problems, but Rust is also not going to solve a bad culture, a bad company. It's not going to fix cultural issues. You know, if you have a culture of not testing, Rust isn't going to fix that. You know, yeah. Now, like I said, I probably, if I was actually going to write a database, I would probably write it in Zig. But I don't know. This is interesting. This is interesting. Do all of these append a new line? Because these do get a new line. Okay, so what I need to look at is okay, this is just serializing. So let's find where serialize. Not that. Does write all add a new line? I know that we used to use write. We used to use write line. But we switched when we started to serialize the record. We actually switched to write all, but this doesn't say that it writes a line, but it does in fact write a line, right? Oh. I'm an idiot. Okay, never mind. Never mind. Scratch that. Scratch that. I was so focused on this and I was like, how is this working? I was like, how is my database not broken? I was smart. I was smart. Thank you, Russell. Thank you. Jebs, that's amazing. I've actually never known somebody that actually works with Oracle. I've always heard them work with it in the past or like not anymore. Now, obviously, I've never worked at a big enterprise, and I realize a lot of the times that's what Oracle shoots for. So, you know, there's that. Like the largest enterprise I've ever worked for was probably SUSE. Well, I worked for GE, but I was a chemical engineer for GE. So I don't know if GE used Oracle, but I was going to say, I've never worked in tech in a big banking environment or whatnot. Yeah. So now I can't say that. I know a lot of people that use Oracle stuff daily. There we go. All right. So let's run here database to do. Switch to byte offset. So we need to update index to use byte offsets. Update writing to not write a new line. Completely disable compaction. Compaction is completely broken at this point. If it runs, it will destroy stuff because it doesn't work with base raft. This is going to get to our raft is not enough. We're going to have to make our own raft protocol, especially because we can't pure raft. We're going to make a hybrid Paxos raft. Yeah. Okay, so we should switch to a byte offset. I don't remember reading ensure reading reads a byte offset. I mean, we need to update reading to use a byte offset, right? Update reading to use a byte offset. And then when we do that, we'll be able to remove main log lock. All right, with the main log lock, we have null db. We have more than just the main log, right? We have the main log and the main log mutex. I'm trying to think. This was like 6 months ago. This is the lock for the file, and this is the lock for the hash map. That's the in-memory portion. Real talk, the only thing going for Oracle DB is it's shared active with ASM. Gebs, if that's the only thing that you think is really going for it, then it's not going for it. Because if you want to talk about a real strong consistency database that has active, then you can talk about Aerospike. There you go. We have something instead of ASM, we have XDR. There you go. We call it something different. But if that's the only thing that you think it has going for it, it's not the only thing. It doesn't have that going for it. No, you don't do that with Oracle DB. You run monolithic vertically scaling databases that can never be taken down. All right. Can we get rid of all three of these locks? That is the next thing that we need to do, is get rid of all three. So we can get rid of the main file mutex, right? So this here, remove this with atomic offset, right. Okay. So that's what this was used for, and we'll directly get rid of this. Now, what this main log entry mutex is we write into this hash map So basically, we keep the whole main log in memory so that we never have to read from the main log. And this keeps like really fast read your own writes. Now, we could... do we add atomic offset to read from the above file? Or do we use atomics to solve this? So basically, I like the idea of keeping the latest things that we've written in memory. A lot of databases do this until that page is flushed, or however they decide to deal with that. Not all do. But this was a way to keep reading from this file, so that that file was only read locked. But we could just read from it, and we only read from stuff that's actually been safely written. Now, this has a couple problems. Because if we go in here, let's see, stream live. If a bunch of stuff writes to the file, here's the file, and a bunch of stuff wrote to it. Something wrote here, something wrote here, and something wrote here. Our safe read buffer, and this is pending, 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 and this is pending, because all of a sudden there's 20 things writing to the file. Our safe read buffer would be here, even though this one is good and this one is good. So even though those are done, they're written to the file, we wouldn't be able to read them until these two also got written. So for that, I think we need to keep I hate per CPU core billing. I absolutely disdain per CPU core billing. I absolutely think it's the most toxic way to do it. Oh, absolutely. But this is the problem. Let's say you wanted to have faster reads. You're not storing more data, but you want faster reads. What do? You over-provision CPU for the size of data you have, which directly increases your cost to them. I mean, they do it for a reason, but it's a toxic reason, in my opinion. So let's say you're just on a monolith and you want to make it bigger. Well, not only do you have the infrastructure cost, but you most likely added cores. Unlike a faster processor, which wouldn't charge you more, it's actually, you're not running the software in more places. You're not doing anything. You just made it bigger. It's going to cost you more. So I don't love this. Because this almost makes it like cloud computing. This almost makes it like you're running it on their infrastructure, but you're not. You're running it on your own infrastructure, but they charge you like you were running it on their infrastructure. And that annoys the garbage out of me. I hate it. I dislike it. I realize it makes them a lot of money, and that's why they do it. I just can't stand it. I just can't stand it. And sorry I get distracted about that. All right, so we want to remove the lock from this. Oh, I forget what this was. Main log mutex. Oh, okay. It is an interesting discussion. It is. That's why I get distracted on it, because I'm actually passionate about it. All right, so the main log mutex is basically, this is the thing that points to what the main log is. right? So we have a bunch of logs. Whenever the database runs, it runs a bunch of files. So like this is the main log until it fills up, and then we make a new log. And all we do is we change the pointer to what is the main log, right? We just said, okay, it was here, and now it's here. That's the main log. That's this lock right here. We can get rid of this. This is lazy. This was lazy of me, but it was easy. It's easy, but lazy. So what we do is when we want to update, so we've filled up this log and this, we filled up this log, we moved to this one. We filled up this log. We allocate a new file. We take this lock out. We reserve the lock. We make a new file. We write that new file to the value. We write that file to this lock here, this main log lock, and we write that file name to that. So then when you want to access when you want to get where it is, you just use that, you lock it and you get it. Now it's a read-write lock. So honestly, this one's maybe okay because most people are just wanting to know what the main log is. And if you're wanting to know what the main log is, you get a read lock. So you're not actually like locking it from anybody. The only time we lock it is when we are updating it. So, you know, like, it's lazy. I think we could get around having this lock, but I think, like, maybe this one's okay. Maybe make this not lock. I think this is one's maybe okay to keep. Right. It's effectively a wall. Okay, so why can't we read from partway through the file? So what happens is if you're trying to do this, what you do is you have two atomics. One is current write position and current read position. Current safe read. So when you scan through the file, this isn't safe. This could be corrupted. You can't read these two places. Right? So our current safe read position would be here. Well, because the main log isn't, well, generally, the main log, we'd never use the index on. So you just scan to see if the record was in it, right? You would go record by record. But I guess we can't do that anymore. We'd have to use the index of where it existed. Because we no longer can go line by line. So maybe it's fine. Maybe it's fine because we just check the index. And if it's in the index, it means it's been fully written. And we should be able to read from there. So classically, we scanned the main log, but I think you're right, Russell, that we could just use the index. And if it has an index, it's safe. Okay. I may maybe stand corrected. Again, I've been corrected so many times. Now, that goes, so then we wouldn't keep the main log in memory anymore. We would just write it to disk and we would just read it from disk. Because we shouldn't have to lock it. Okay. We'll do that. Because it's immutable. Because it's immutable, we know that if it's written there, it's there. We never go back and change a record. And that's the only reason this works. Because if we could go back and change this, this would not work. But it's immutable. We're always just writing further down. So if it's written, it should be solid. The repo itself is this one right here. Now, if you get into this and you notice, we actually have it broken down by episode. So like you can't just look at the main branch. That doesn't really have anything on it. And we are working on the consensus branch, and all of this has like snowballed out of consensus. But this isn't consensus. What we're doing here is not consensus. So we're going to start a new branch for this. One thing that I need to do really quickly. Yeah, this is not the consensus branch. This will be its own video. I need to come up with a clickbaity title for it. Like, locks are bad. That's not a clickbaity. I don't lock in my database, do you? Ooh, that's starting to get somewhere. Locks considered harmful. Lock picking databases. Okay. You know what? The community is naming my videos from now on. I think that you guys have nailed it. I think that you guys are way better at YouTube video naming than I am. All right, we're just taking this back. We're gonna just do this. Oh, look at this. It wants to do a B-tree map. Yeah, to be able to do ranged queries. Absolutely. Not wrong, but update to B string. Usize. To support range to support byte range queries. Yeah, byte range byte read range queries. Put it about Locky McLockface. I'm not even mad. All right, let's see. Okay. This is good. Let's go ahead and let's get checkout dash B no Locky. Okay, I just thought of another one. You know, like the famous saying that like Look, mom, no hands is like the famous last words. Look, mom, no locks. I'm not saying that I too got hurt when I was a kid when I said, hey, mom, well, check this out. I'm doing something stupid. Why is it that whenever I was young and I was growing up and I came up with something astronomically stupid, the first thought I thought of was, let me show this to my mom. I don't know why that is the literal case through my entire childhood. Yeah, like absolutely. I just don't understand it. I don't understand, but that was the case. It was like, ugh. Okay, cool. Okay, yes, thank you. All right, I have 2 videos. Now, my video equipment is actually not in the same house as me, so I haven't been able to record them. I have 2 videos on consensus. So I have the video on consensus to do, but I actually have the one for what we did with the file system pretty much ready to record. I need to make a branch for it and actually push it so that it's episode 6. I'll work on that, but episode 6 file system. Then we'll do a consensus one. I probably am actually going to do this one before the consensus one. I feel like the consensus one is such a big topic. I don't even know. Like, we implemented very, very basic consensus, but there's so much more we're going to have to do to it. I feel like the consensus episode is going to be like an introduction to consensus, and here you can see like the basic code, but basically not covering my code, but covering what consensus is and why. I think that's what it's going to turn out to be, but we'll see. These videos have reached consensus. So episode 2, like, I'm going to have to start out episode 2 of the consensus videos as these videos have not reached consensus. Well said, Russell. Well said. Award that man some channel points, okay? Award him some channel points. We've reached quorum. Okay. I think that's it for me today. I think that's it. I have a thing at 2:30, so I have to get off in like half an hour anyways. So I think I'm gonna call it good for today. I know I didn't get a whole lot into actually doing this, but this was a good discussion on how we're going to do it. I actually think this is going to be really cool. The 2 things that we need to do before we actually implement it. So actually, let's write this down. I have time, so let's write this down, and then we'll find somebody to raid. So before we need to do this, benchmark database really well. So we need to do this as it stands today. We need to understand the writes and reads. I want to do a few more benchmarks where we write and read at the same time, because right now we're just writing and we're just blasting at writes, but I want to do like some mixed scenarios where it's like, I want to do 25% reads while we're doing 80% writes. And then I want to do the inverse where we're like reading heavy and not writing a whole lot. So we need to actually do that first. And the reason I want to do that is I want to know the impact of our work. I want to know, like, we're going to go through all of this to remove all these locks. And I want to be able to understand how that impacted it. So yeah. So thanks everybody. Like, thanks for everybody that was chatting. Like it it's not very often you talk about file systems and files and things like that and how to deal with them. So that's yeah. Happy to do it. I learned stuff. I like I said, this is not stuff we do every single day, and that's fine. But yeah, let's find somebody to raid. Does anybody know of anybody good to raid right now? Actually, this is something I harp on when people are like, "Oh, let's see how much we've improved," and I'm like, if you don't have a baseline, there is no way to know if you've improved. You have to baseline first and then make changes. If you've made changes and you haven't baselined, what are you doing? Yeah. You've got to get some baselines. And I get it that baselines can be hard. And maybe you baseline and then you realize that the baselines you took didn't actually accurately show anything. And that's good too. You learned something. You learned something about making your own baselines. Like these are like everything is a learning experience and you gotta start doing it if you want to understand. Bad Cop is on. I haven't rated Bad Cop for a little while. Mr. Let's do that. Let's do a game jam. Go.game jam. Let's do that. Awesome. Well, so, we talk about performance tuning, but I think it goes well beyond performance tuning because what you have to look at is like, I mean, like people will take performance tuning, but when you're talking about like management, when management wants to help the team get better, they need to baseline the team first. How do they know better? If they can't do basic Dora metrics or things like that, then they can't even tell what better is. All they're going off of is feelings. And you know what I've learned is that my feelings aren't always right. Like sometimes I have a feeling like, oh, this feels worse, but it's actually better. So I don't think that basing stuff, don't get me wrong. Some things you should be like, this feels terrible. And that alone should be enough. Like none of us like how this feels. Like it feels very, very bad. But you also need to actually understand the actual implications that it has. I'm not saying to do something because it feels terrible. I'm saying that you can't base it on feelings alone. So you can't make a change to a team based on feelings alone. That's all. Anyways. Do you feel your feelings might not be right? Baseline them and find out. That's going in my shirt collection. Absolutely. Wow, so clutch. You just have to. All right, everybody go check out Mr. Epileptic. I think. Wait, that said an invalid username. Did you give me an invalid one? Did you give me an invalid one? I gotta go search for it now. Wait. I think you misspelled it. I'm gonna blame you, Russell. I think you did because I copied and pasted yours. So there's that. Definitely copy and pasted yours. Go give them some love. I've never checked them out, but I've heard good things about them. So go hang out, learn something new with them. We might do some Godot later this year. I like making games. See you all later. Have a fantastic weekend.